How y'all doing? I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Listen, I always say this and I always lie, but I'm gonna try not to lie today. I know. I've done very well with time management as of late. So I'm gonna take that back. But I'm not gonna try to listen. Happy to be back here on YouTube talking to everybody. Please like, please subscribe. The channel is not dead just because we're doing some other things everywhere. Life is all about change. Life is all about shifting and doing all sorts of things, fam. So that's just what it is. I hope you all have been maintaining and you have been, getting your libations and your fluids and staying hydrated and all of that good kind of stuff. I hope and pray that you have. We just have something quick that we got to get through because I've been hearing a lot about it. I haven't been saying a lot about it, but it is starting to annoy me. And so I don't have any choice. I feel like once I get annoyed, everybody should just be annoyed along with me. I'm sorry. I feel like if we're not in politics 101 anymore, then we're not in politics 101 anymore. And then we just got to have a conversation. I'm sorry. Kind of is what it is. So listen, hearing a lot of stuff. And like I said, hit that like button, fam. And if you haven't joined the Patreon yet, patreon.com/ycarnell. Once again, patreon.com/ycarnell, YCARNELL, and you can do that there. In terms of what we're talking about tonight, a lot of people, fam. You see this blue and this red. What does that symbolize? These are the parties, and a lot of people, and the cost of running for office is going up. If you have not researched Citizens United, it is not my business today to go through that whole Supreme Court thing with you, but you can look it up on your own time and on your own dime. That's politics 101. We are now in 301. Okay? We're not going to do all that for you. I'm so sorry, baby girl, baby boy. We're not doing that today. But I am going to talk about how I got this question today, and I said, you know what? Let's put whatever we was going to do on the back burner, and let's just finally have a discussion. And if y'all feel I'm wrong, that's fine. You can call in and do all of that stuff. And do whatever counter thing or whatever, feel free to call in. Because we got to talk about running for office. Because everybody says, well, Yvette, why don't you run for office? Well, Yvette, why aren't you supporting any of these candidates? Well, Yvette, why can't we just start somewhere? Life is not magic, life is work. Life is not magic, life is work. There's a little bit of something about work without faith, and maybe you can look that up. I don't know, and I'm not trying to tell you to be something that you ain't, but I'm just trying to tell you that life is work. It's diligence and perseverance and all of that. Life is not magic. It's not magic. So, I want to bring this home with a point that we talked about before. Now, just because somebody is a grifter or we don't like them, it don't mean they always wrong. So a lot of people in this space have begun to believe, for reasons that I cannot quite articulate or understand, they have begun to think that their internet popularity automatically translates into votes. They believe that my internet prowess, popularity, whatever the case may be, however I've anchored myself, results in votes. Now, we don't have any love, in terms of their effectiveness. It's not personal with us for BLM. But in this article, a Black Lives Matter founder on building modern movement says something true that we know to be true about DeRay Mckesson's campaign. Now, remember him, blue vest, Patagonia. That's an expensive little Patagonia vest he had, little puffer vest. He thought he was going to take that and translate that into being the mayor of Baltimore. Now, somebody answer me right now. Is he right now the mayor of Baltimore? Somebody let me know. Okay, if he ain't, let's talk about what happened. So let's go into this sort of quickly and come out of it. Garza uses the Black Lives Matter activist DeRay Mckesson, whom she describes as a social media personality. Ooh, that's some smooth little hate right there, boy. That's some smooth little hate she just threw in there. She said he is a social media personality, as an example of confusing online influence with having a political base from which to operate. Mckesson, who became known for his Twitter posts during the Ferguson uprising and for his bright blue Patagonia, I told you, vest, eschewed traditional organizing and instead claimed that social media offered protesters the tools to build movements in new ways. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. In the fury of the Ferguson moment, Mckesson argued that individuals were enough to catalyze a movement. Now, we're gonna get to the other part, but I can tell you why that's not true. The same thing that we had to do here in terms of you got to go offline at some point if you want to do movement work. You can't just do it here. You can provide political education here. But in terms of movement work, you're eventually going to need some kind of organizational apparatus, right? You're going to need that. And in terms of building a campaign, you're going to need some type of organizational apparatus. Being smart on Twitter, being quick on Twitter, being snappy on Twitter, which I think I am sometimes, does not result in anything except for leading people back to, at best, political education. But that is not enough to build a movement. That's not enough to build a campaign. A lot of people running around here trying to say they're going to run for office and have not done the work to do that. And what happens if you have not done the work to do that is that you squander a moment on people who do not have a path to victory. Be mad if you want to. Talk to somebody else. Don't talk. That's just what it is. So let's just go back to old DeRay one time and see what he had going on or what he didn't have going on according to Garza. As Garza points out, it's easy to misinterpret social media influence as actual, tangible influence among the broader public. She mentions Mckesson's failed campaign to become mayor of Baltimore in 2016 based on the illusion that his social media, including could media profile, like we just said, including then 330,000 followers on Twitter, could be translated into votes. Most of the people don't even live where you're trying to do your stuff at. What you talking about? But in the real world of elections, Mckesson captured a dismal fam, 2.6% of the vote in the Democratic primary, fewer than 4,000 votes Garza concludes, hashtag don't build movements, people do. Now, she ain't built a movement either, but she right. Hashtags also don't build campaigns. We are living through currently the most expensive time in American political history. We are living through the most expensive time in American political history. It costs. It just does. And that ain't nothing. Listen, if you don't understand that, what happens is you get caught up in your own ego. Because half of what we do in politics is just respond to our own ego's reflection in somebody else. So what happens is this. You say we ought to run for office. And then we say, no, you have to do the work, because that's what has to happen. You can't be the little blue vest fellow. And what he did didn't even work for him. Let me take him off the screen for a second. That didn't even work for him. We cannot do that. Now, it makes you feel very respectable. You don't want to get in the street, right? And do organizing. You don't want to pitch in and do that. Some of y'all don't even want to give money to the ADOS Advocacy Foundation. You want to give money to a candidate. You want to see somebody in Congress because that feels like that's what you're supposed to be doing. But how many times have we even talked in this room about how black people in elective office don't necessarily mean good politics for ADOS or black people in general? How many times have we talked about that? So why is your solution just to go get your particular Negro elected? Okay, what happens if they get there? That's one Negro out of how many in the Senate? That's one Negro out of how many in the House? What do you think they're going to get done? So wait a minute, you wasted $100,000 or whatever you decided to throw outside. You might well just go outside in your front yard and throw money up in the air. How you feel about that? No matter what you have wasted in that, even if they get elected, you mean to tell me you're not going to get a return? Well, what does it take to get a return? It takes being able to pressure. Listen, you can pressure and influence by having people power and not being there. Didn't I tell you all these people, the majority, let me not say everybody, but did I tell you the majority of these people is prostitutes? They go whichever way the pressure goes. Now, you may feel better by saying, I gave. We got to have somebody in Congress. Yvette, why don't you run? Because I'm not a hooker. I've told you all that before. You have to but they all overwhelming majority are. So you have to find a way to influence them. Now, I'm not saying that you even can't ever run for office, but you might want to start locally and cut your teeth. Oh, you don't want to do that. That's too hard. I know. I don't get no attention. I don't get no attention running locally. Well, have you ever ran for anything? No, but I'm going to run for Congress because I think I can do it. I can do a little magic, Yvette. Okay. Well, let's get back to this man in the Patagonia vest. Because everybody want to talk about what they can do or what they feel they going to do. Let's get back to him. DeRay Mckesson won't be elected mayor of Baltimore. So why is he running? Child, people knew. Everybody knows when you don't have a path to victory. People knew he was like, I'm going to do, child. Everybody know. Except for us. Well, we got to try. You can go try climbing a beanstalk too. You can go try doing a lot of stuff. I saw a man on a what was I watching? He was climbing a mountain. And he didn't have no stuff on. What do you mean by he didn't have none of the hooks and stuff on. He was just climbing, freewheeling it up the side of a mountain. You can try to do a lot of things. Now he, as far as I know, maybe still alive, maybe not. I don't know. But you can try to do a lot of things. We're talking about what's going to work, what's efficient. We ain't talking about what you can try. Well, let's go to Patagonia Vest one more time, shall we? In February, he announced his run. In the 2 months since, he has raised more than $265,000 for more than, this meant, understand that $265,000 ain't no money. Let me just, from more than 5,400 supporters spanning all 50 states, with more local donors than all but two candidates. Money has rolled in from celebrities he counts as friends and others he doesn't. It has rolled in from tech executives like Reed Hastings of Netflix and Omid Kordestani of Twitter, which has embraced Mckesson as a kind of power user brand ambassador. the gay dating app, endorsed him via a push notification to its users. Child, we didn't need the parentheses, honey. The legendary Baltimorean John Waters endorsed him too. So wait a minute, he got all these endorsements. He's supposed to be good. Here's your big butt. You know that a butt is coming, don't you? But other candidates have been building their campaigns for years. They have TV ads, yard signs, bumper stickers. Warnock has spent almost, y'all know Warnock in Georgia, the U.S. Senator here. Warnock has spent almost $2 million on his campaign. Mckesson doesn't have these things. He has made an ad and other video clips, but shares them only online. Instead, he is swimming in small contributions from an army of supporters and maximum donations from influential people who don't much represent Baltimore. So wait a minute. Are you telling me that in order to run for office, you have to be anchored in the area that you're running from? Is that what you're saying? It sounds like that's what this article is saying. All that goodwill only further cements the narrative that the candidate who was born and raised here is a product of somewhere else. Listen, you either start local, or you are a part of a bigger movement, or you start a movement, or you are a product of money. There is no way for a group that is wealthless to do national politics. Hard enough doing local or state, but to do national politics without having those elements in place. So why do I see you all giving a bunch of money to people who have no path to victory? Listen, that's the question you should always ask. If somebody comes up to you, trying to get something straight. If somebody comes up to you tomorrow or the next day or the day after that, and they say, I'm running for political office on this platform. Or I'm running for political office on an ADOS platform. Running. Don't go get emotional. You know how we do. Oh, it's so good. I just want to support. You have to, please start slowing down. Please start slowing down and asking a very simple question. What's that Monique say, beloved? Ask a series of questions. The first should be, what is your pathway to victory? Well, what do you mean, Yvette? What's my pathway to victory? Well, we're going to go over what other candidates, whether they run for Congress or whether they run for Senate, what they had to raise. So either you have to find a way to raise that, or you have to convince me how you going to beat somebody with a bunch of millions with 45,000 or 10,000 or 15,000. You have to show me a path to get there. If somebody doesn't show you a path to get there, they are wasting your time and wasting your money and wasting your effort. You could be using that money for something else. You have to learn to diagnose these things. It is so important to accurately diagnose things like this. It is absolutely important. But let's go back to Patagonia for 1 second. DeRay hasn't been in Baltimore doing stuff for the last several years. Explains Davon Love, 28, the organization's director of public policy. In terms of grassroots organizing work, he has no history. Wait a minute. In terms of grassroots organizing work, he has no history. What you mean to tell me? You got to have a history in grassroots organizing? Yes. Not just for a campaign. Ooh, it's hard work. You be outside to be hot. I've helped other people do it. It's hot and tired and don't nobody want to talk to you. People feel like you panhandling. And I ain't asked you for no monies. But let's go on. Different versions of this critique that many people, mayoral candidates included, were trying to better Baltimore to better Baltimore long before Freddie Gray died. That was DeRay Mckesson's, assent. Cling to Mckesson wherever he goes. Much of Mckesson's time campaigning is spent arguing that Baltimore has shaped him. His skeptics argue that he hasn't done anything to shape it. Ooh-wee. Let's go to another quote really quickly. Child, Mckesson had a plan. Mckesson has a plan. Somewhere between 70,000 and 95,000 voters are expected to vote in the primary. So today he was starting 30 days for 30,000. A Hail Mary effort wherein he aimed to contact 30,000 voters over the phone or in person before early voting and began, and another 30,000 after. 10,000 of these would be given flyers highlighting Mckesson's platform. His teeny team, they didn't have to call his team tiny. His tiny, teeny team would hand deliver them to doors around the city, and Mckesson would maybe try to deputize his Twitter followers to help. Even if everything goes well, this will be difficult to pull off, and things are not going perfectly. The flyers contain a typo. The word education of all words is misspelled, and we all know that it did not happen for Patagonia. It did not happen for Mr. Blue Vest. He did not become the mayor of Baltimore the same way. A lot of people will never become whatever they are running for today. Somebody say amen and hallelujah. Because he did not become that because there's a formula. There is a formula for these things. Now you can tweak the formula. If you are a genius, you can really kind of shape it and move it. But this idea that you're going to totally change and upend the formula, that's magic. You're going to say, I don't need, wait a minute. I don't need to do all that stuff you talking about. I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to just kind of go on faith and I'm going to win and don't be negative. That's not what a path to victory looks like. I'm sorry. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop making my people waste their money on these donations because y'all just want a spending fund or you want attention for yourself or whatever the case. See, because the numbers don't really lie. See, let's go to Warnock. Now, the interesting thing to realize about Warnock is that because it took so much money for him to get elected and he's in a red state, Georgia's a red state, same thing for South Carolina. Because of that, he has to stay firmly in the pocket of Democrats. Because one little move to the left or one little mistake that gets him in trouble with them means he don't get no more money from them. So understand that. But let's look at the amount of money that was kind of raised in that race that a lot of people want to say, I want to run for Georgia. I can do it. I can do it. Yes, I can. I'm the little train that could. Y'all know Loeffler wasn't she a billionaire? I'm not going to even say the numbers, child. It's too rich for my blood right now. I just, ooh-wee. Okay, all these people, okay. We just talking about people who was in racist, that's all. Nobody, just know we just talking about all these people. Okay. Seems to be a lot of money running around here. This seems to be a costly endeavor. The Loeffler owned the whole basketball team. All right, child. We ain't even. I see you, fam. We ain't even. We didn't bring up our stuff, child. Lord have mercy. Now, when you get to these people, what you see is that there's not a pathway to victory. There's nothing personal. This is about money. And unfortunately, if you don't have money, you have to have people. And you got to have a lot of people. So if you want to see somebody win, your best effort is, since we're a wealthless group, find some way to get some people. that means you have to build a movement. But even more than that, if you don't have enough people in the movement now, you got to start where you start, which means you might start city council, right? You might start, if the time is right for you, making relationships so that you can run in a state race, so that you can run for state senate or state house. Even that, you got to build all kinds of relationships with your state party and all. That requires work. You can't just jump out here. See, because, fam, when that money's gone, it's gone. Nobody has done any work on the ground for organizing. Nobody has done no movement work. People just out here going from church to church. From lemonade stand to doggone lemonade stand. Whatever they decide that they're going to do. That's not a pathway to victory. You can read it, Hotline, Politico, whatever you want to read it, how people have a pathway to victory. But let me show you something. Hold on, let me show you something. You're not beating this kind of money right here with just, I believe. I think I can do it. No. This kind of money right here. All this kind of money we see, and they're talking about this was raised this point, this was raised this point, and this is only early. Like, understand that this isn't all the money. We're talking about like quarters here. There were millions and millions raised. We're looking at certain quarters. Like, look. I want you to look right here at we're talking in the first quarter of, I think, 2022. I want you to look at what Warnock has raised. Because those are quarters. Those are not everything. So he's raised $13.6 million in 2022's first quarter. I want you to understand what you're looking at. That's what he's raised. You're not going to compete with that with a few $1,000 or $100,000 or $200,000. This is millions. This is Citizens United. This is a country that is awash with money. You have to compete on that level. Please do not try to make my people believe that you can compete with the Democratic parties, chosen one, with that little bit of money. Now, what we can do as people who have a large constituency in different states as ADOS and building alliances with other like-minded people, what we can do on a national level is bring pressure to bear and then train other people locally to be ready to do something nationally. We can do that because what you want to do anyway, you want to have your people with you. You don't want to be like Warnock or somebody who just has to be at the beck and call of the Democratic Party. You want to have people. But if you don't have a serious movement, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people. If you don't have a serious movement that can apply serious political pressure, then you have nothing because you certainly don't have money, child. It's a whole lot of people that just want to be permanent candidates. I'm going to be a candidate every time it come around, child. I'm going to filing the paperwork don't make you a candidate. How do you plan you should ask the question, how do you plan to become competitive in this race? It's a fair question. How do you plan to become competitive in this race? What do you plan to do? I plan to, I'm going to be on my, I advocate reparation. That's what I do. Oh, wait. Even in your state that you want to represent or the district, there hasn't been enough groundwork there to make that a national issue in the same way that maybe abortion has become the issue for some, or gun rights for others, or health care for the left or whatever. You haven't done the groundwork to create people who are single issue voters, even your own people on this. And you're going to run on this? Tell me how that works. It would seem to me that you haven't done the work or helped do the work to make yourself a viable national candidate. It sounds to me you might not be a viable local candidate. That remains to be seen. You raise enough money to be local, but what else are you doing? Because you still have to have an organizing effort. There have to be a lot of questions that have to be asked that are not being asked of people who want to run for office. And for us to be a serious constituency, We got to start asking serious questions. I don't have no particular, I don't feel no kind of way about nobody. But the only thing I can say though, don't come asking me, well, what would you, except for beating Harvard, what y'all do? Beating a $1 billion white institution in terms of they said something that was untrue about us, that was a whole lot. But don't come asking me that if y'all done wasted 50,000 here and 40,000 there and 100,000 there, and you never gave anything to ADOS-AF. Like don't come asking me. Go ask them what they did with your money. Oh, it was some ads and stuff, and now it's over with. Well, you should know this has been over with. This is a great recipe for how you squander a movement. This is a great way to squander everything. Just let people everybody gonna put on their suits and fancy clothes and suspenders and hats and straw hats and top hats, cigars or whatever thing else, and everybody's gonna decide they're gonna run for office. And we're gonna give money to everybody when the groundwork has not been done. The ground has not been laid for any of this. Nothing. It's ridiculous. The kind of stuff we fall for is ridiculous. People can't even win local, and you're going to pay something for them to go national. Don't make no sense. And it just gets old, fam. It gets old pointing out stuff that doesn't make sense. Because people look at you, well, you're just a hater. No, if I wanted to run, I would have run. Child, I would have run before all these people ran. You think you'd have run? No, I don't know. Because I know what's going to work, and I know what's not going to work, and I know what has to happen. I know how you have to set stuff up. I know how you have to. I've seen how hard it is to run locally. I've had people run for state house and state senate and lose and raise $100,000. Right? Why don't you start with, and it's still going to be a long haul. Why don't you start with city council or something like that and get yourself ready for the next level? You ain't ready. You just think you're ready. Ridiculous. Let me go to something else, because we talked about what his, and I just want to pull this up again because child Warnock, 13.6 million in 2022's first quarter. I want you to think about that. I just want you to just think about that. And he is even, what did Whoopi Goldberg say in that Ghost movie? What was it, the Ghost movie? Girl, you in danger. Warnock is still in danger. The only thing that probably gonna save him this go around is that he's running against Herschel Walker. I think the Republicans played it wrong by putting somebody up there who was just black, but who can't, they mind don't CTE whatever. I don't know. They messed up. But even with that, like, you still in here as somebody who, listen, because they said this. They said, what they say? Why Biden's approval has taken a nosedive in the state, talking about Georgia, with only about a third saying they approve of the job he's doing. Ooh, this is strange country, child. The leading Republican in the race, former NFL player Herschel Walker, a former Heisman winning Georgia, University of Georgia Bulldog, who has Trump's endorsement. He also said he had some kind of problem where he had multiple personalities. But anyway, Trump's endorsement may have a high name recognition in the state, but he's untested as a candidate, and he's been saying all kind of stuff. This might save Warnock. Walker has written about his battle with dissociative identity disorder and is facing allegations of domestic abuse from past relationships that he anyway, we don't have to get child. He got a lot of stuff going on. But look, so far, Warnock has the money advantage. It's more than the 22 in the first child, raising $30 million to Walker's 9 as of their last filings. Now, if you got a candidate that's in the race right now that's only raised 20, I want to know what you're going to do. I just want to know. Just I want to understand what your path to victory is. You got to tell me what the path to victory looks like. Well, I don't got to say. I just got to believe. Believe what? You got to believe in your path to victory. That's what you got to believe. And that's what you got to prove to me, you, her, him, grandmama them, uncle them, auntie them. Don't just try to get us emotional anymore and say, well, I agree with ADOS. I hate, I can't stand all these Democrats or Republicans, and I can't stand Clyburn, and I can't stand. That's not a political anything. That's not a path to victory. That's not a platform. That's not anything. Those are talking points that you picked up. That is not anything. Because I want you to look at this real quick. Why Warnock and Ossoff won Georgia? It was a lot of it was black voters. But understand, people would be like, well, we gonna if it was black voters, Yvette, we gonna do it again. No, because you don't have a microphone, dodo birds. The people with the microphone who told all those black voters, we just gotta get Trump out of there. They got everything: radio, MSNBC, ads, money, TV. They have all that. How do you plan on combating that? You have no people, no money, no ads, no TV, no radio, no nothing. That is not, absolutely is not a path to victory. That is a sham, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not going to result in anything but vacuous careerism. Say what you want. The truth is the truth. Just going to put this up here for some context. Say what you want. The truth is the truth. Change in margin from 2020 election in different kinds of places. Majority black and Hispanic precincts shifted decisively towards Democrats compared with their support for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. This is what you were looking at. This was the shift. That was a whole lot of blue money into a red state. Do you have some? No? Okay then. Well, guess what? I don't see a path to victory. You have to tell people to convince you. Let me tell you, I've been in these rooms. Candidates who have a path to victory are very good at telling you what they think that looks like. If you can't tell me that, then I don't know what it looks like. If you want to run against Clyburn, listen, nobody dislikes Clyburn more than me. But I see things very clearly. Who is he? Is he the House Whip? How much seniority does he have? How much money does he raise? What does he raise it from? If you want to run a campaign, you need to know this. How much name recognition does he have as opposed to you? What is in his background that can be pulled up on him versus you? All of these questions have to be answered with somebody like Clyburn, who has a very close relationship with the Democratic leadership, including Nancy Pelosi. Clyburn is very important in sweeping the black vote to Democrats in South Carolina. If there were no Clyburn and his fish fry, there would be no Joe Biden, because he was not going to win. This man is important in terms of doing the bidding of Democrats. How do you plan to combat that in terms of your path to victory? Okay, let's talk a little bit about Clyburn, because I ain't heard no answers from nobody running for nothing. While South Carolina's longest serving congressman, oh, seniority really means something you didn't know, through his support to research and the growth of multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical in his district, drug and device-making companies rewarded him by giving liberally to his campaign and war chest for years. U.S. Representative Jim Clyburn, Democratic of Columbia, has collected more in the last decade from powerful political action committees attached to the pharmaceutical industry than anyone else in the House or Senate, according to Kaiser Health News and a Post and Courier analysis. He getting all that money from them people. Don't think he ain't when he is. During that time, he has brought in more than $1 million in campaign contributions from an industry lobby known for aggressive. What did I say? An industry known for aggressive lobbying. Scrutiny of where Clyburn 78 receives donation from is relevant given his recent elections to House Majority Whip, the number 3 leadership position in the House. He has been among the top Democrats in Congress for more than a decade, making it little surprise he would be among the chief recipients of the industry's cash. How you gonna fight that cash? You better let us know. You gotta have a way to fight that cash. Let me know your path to victory. Path to victory. Remember that. If you don't remember nothing else from this show, remember you got to ask any candidate about their path to victory before you put your finger in your wallet. What is the path to victory? Still, his total contributions from the industry, which makes everything from ibuprofen to joint replacements, stands out when matched against his peers. The reason is likely a combination of his hand in the passage of a healthcare overhaul, his leadership roles, and the characteristics of his district, which include 2 major research institutions. Do you know the demographics of the person that you're running against, or are you just playing games? What's in his district? I just want to know. They telling you all about what's in his district and who he got money from and the research. Y'all ain't told me. If you're running against him, you ain't told me nothing about that. How you gonna beat all that money he getting and you don't have no people power and you don't have no monies? America's a country that runs on the money, and if you don't have the money, you better have the people. But we haven't. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to. People say, "Well, Yvette, you're doing the movement. How we know it's gonna work?" I'm working right now on that. I'm working right now on the proof of concept. Are you? Are you just telling people to believe as if you're Jesus risen from the dead? You are not. You are bone and flesh, child, and you better get it together and start answering some kinds of questions. Whew. Don't want to cut your teeth. Think you too good. Think you too good to run locally. I think I'm gonna run national. Ooh, you think you special. Your ego. Ooh, ego will be the death. Let me tell y'all, ego gonna be the death of a lot of people because people, child, y'all want to do a whole lot of stuff and have ego and don't want to get down and dig a hole. Ooh, anything. So anyway, let me just go into this AP article a little bit. Several Democrats have filed fundraising paperwork to challenge Clyburn, although only one, educator Greg Massal-Dixon, has reported taking in any money, marking about $11,000 as of the end of last year. Y'all think that's enough? And why did you give it? You think he gonna beat? You think just kind of throwing that money in the wind is just gonna do it? Okay. South Carolina's primary elections will be held June 14th. Filing closes March 30th. This is the older article. Clyburn won his 2020. Pay attention to this part, please. Clyburn won his 2020 re-election by nearly 40 percentage points and has nearly $2.5 million in a re-election war chest. Feeling confident in his own contest, Clyburn said he plans to spend time campaigning for other Democrats, scheduling swings in California, New York, North Carolina, and Georgia. He knows that you are not a threat, especially since you don't have a movement and you don't have people and you don't have any of the stuff that it takes to win a campaign. Don't look at me funny. I'm just telling you the truth. It's expensive. The price of victory. This is from Open Secrets, and it's from 2018. Senate candidates versus House candidates. That's the top. I want you to look at the numbers at the bottom for me, please. 6. That should be like 2, 3 at the bottom. House Democrat, House Republican. Then when you get the Senate at the top, look at that. We're crossing over that 12 and sometimes that 18 million. What's that? $18 million range. Either way, these are millions of dollars that you have to fundraise. Let me tell y'all something. Talking on Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse or whatever is not a path to victory. And the person that you're running against being awful is not a path to victory, because you have to have name recognition. You have to have people who know who you are. You have to have people power if you can't just send door knockers to somebody's house. How do you get everybody to know your name? Because somebody's going to go, both of you got to know who you are. How do you counter that? No? It's getting more and more expensive as time goes, fam. How you counter it? I'm just asking the question. Please, please don't shoot the messenger. It is what it is, fam. And I always hate that, oh, that you're the doomsdayer. But no, the truth is just the truth. I can't control the truth now. The truth is the truth. We have to build up a movement. We have to build up political advocacy. We have to build up organizing. We have to build up people who are willing to do the work. We have to do the movement work so that we can select people. These people have jumped out in front. You cannot jump out in front of the movement work and just try to be the candidate. Because even if you do get there, you're going to just be a cog in the wheel and you'll be the next Clyburn. That's who you'll be. Because you won't have the people behind you and you won't have the power to do the work that you convinced people that you were going to Congress to do. You ain't fooled me, but you convinced people you were going to do the thing, and you're not going to have the power to do the thing anyway. Because you didn't do the organizing, you didn't do the political education, and you don't have a movement behind you. Fam, movements, if you don't know anything, if I can't say anything today, I want you to understand that movements are important. Every big huge thing that's happened in this country, from the labor movement to the civil rights movement, all of that stuff was movement work. That's the foundation. So please don't skip over the foundation that we're doing here at ADOS Advocacy Foundation and just skip your way all the way to believing that we can have a congressman or a congresswoman, not without doing the work. Everything requires that you do the work first, not second, not third, not fourth. You do the work first. So we're about at that time, family. I'm going to take a break. Let me set up the phones, and then I'll be back so we can have a conversation, okay? All right, fam. We are back. I'm going to the first call. I'm going to 480. 480. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Yvette? How you doing? My name is Patrice. I'm calling from Arizona.
Hey, Patrice, how you doing?
I'm good. We've talked before this.
Mm-hmm.
I give to the ADOS movement.
I appreciate
I go on many platforms talking about the ADOS movement and just wanting to know still continuously, how can I help here? I'm in Arizona. And I know you told me, you guys are working on some things, but I really want to be boots on the ground out here in Arizona. I've been out here a little over a year just trying to get the notes on the politicians, checking them out, seeing what their policies and procedures are, what they stand for. I think it's important locally. You're right. Just start locally, boots on the ground, just even as a person of interest that's interested in bringing ADOS to Arizona. But what I want to ask
We have a chat. We have a chat. Where in Arizona are you?
I am in Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix. Okay. Go ahead, fam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm in Phoenix, but it's surrounding suburban areas. I'm near all the surrounding suburban areas, right? So, I want to know, Yvette, have you heard of on Amazon Prime, right? They got this television miniseries called Atlanta, and they give different episodes. Have you heard of the episode they gave on reparations?
I heard about it, and I meant to watch it, but I did not watch it.
I just got to watch it. I tell you, I was solely disappointed. It's really solely like mocking in a way, and they made it very comical. Mocking, in my opinion, mocking reparations in the eyes of white people, how they view paying reparations to us will be. It's called Atlanta, and the episode is called Big Payback, and it's season 3, episode 4. You gotta check it out.
Well, let me just say this, family. I watched maybe the first 2 episodes of Atlanta so far, and I feel like it's just not good. I enjoyed the first season. I think the second season, I had enjoyed it, but I feel like Donald Glover has made his money and he's decided that he's not invested, and this is just how it goes. And so that's probably why you got that reparations episode. And I'm convinced that all these people just watch Twitter and get their ideas from there, because that first episode was just about the remember the boy who got adopted by the white women and all. It was just like, you didn't create an episode, you just made an episode off of something else. It was like some kind of cheat code, and that's not cool. That's not all right. So I feel like that's what happens when people get wealthy. Like I know I played this on Patreon, but the Dave Chappelle skit about reparations was horrendous. It was awful. And so if you haven't seen that Dave Chappelle skit about reparations, please go back and see it, just so you understand that this Donald Glover, based on what you're saying, I haven't seen it, is not the first time somebody has totally kind of degraded the idea, as a wealthy person has degraded the idea of reparations to white people. So just understand that when y'all are talking about how Dave Chappelle is the greatest thing to ever live. Just please understand that. Please understand that and go check it out.
Yeah, I will, sis, and I wanted you to definitely, it's about a 30-minute skit. I wanted you to do the same, to give your review or what your thoughts is.
I'm going to check it out. I'll check it out.
That's what I'm getting from a lot of these celebrities, that they make their money, and then when they talk about reparations, to them, they so far removed, from things that's really going on in the black community, and to make a mockery of it, to me is another double whammy and a slap in the face, to the ADOS movement, to the things that, we're trying to do.
And especially when you could have just consulted with us. And we would have told you how to make a good episode.
Nobody's reaching out to us,
Yep. I would have helped you make a good episode. Like, I would have helped you make a good episode. I really would have. And from what I've seen of this season, though, it's just trash. And I don't mean to. I hate to put it that way, but when it was a good season, when it was good, I called it good. When it was good,
taking us serious on the level of in Hollywood. How can we, other than the time when Ice Cube was trying to be involved before we basically canceled him or tried to cancel him, and now he done just took his tail behind himself and then went on and went in a corner somewhere. I don't know where he stands on that, but it's just hard to get people, in Hollywood to stand behind us. I remember one time Danny Glover, went to Congress, was talking about reparations. I don't even hear him talking about it.
He over there with N. Cobra talking about the Pan-Africanness and all that stuff. And listen, I'm an honest person. When Atlanta was good, I said it was good. Like, I've seen 2 episodes this season, and it stinks. And it just is what it is. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know what happened the second episode when they went to Amsterdam or something. It was just a stream of consciousness. There was no cohesion to it at all.
Yeah, but like I said, Yvette, I'll keep calling in, I'll keep supporting, I'll keep giving to the ADOS movement, and also please, as I call in, I'm in Arizona, just, let me know, what and when and how, I can help you. We got some people out there.
I just think they're in Tucson right now. But please feel free to throw the link in there so everybody can get organized. But we're gonna, as we roll out chapters, we'll let you know what city, what state, that sort of thing. But like it's been a project trying to do this, and trying to find good people to actually to do this and do it well and do everything from states to chapters to accounts and bank accounts, and it's been a lot. So, but we gonna get it done, and we gonna get it in there, and so just be ready for it. So we not gonna let you down. Ooh, we sure not.
I'll keep calling in. There's no problem. I support you. I support Antonio as well. I support you both. So I'll keep calling in, checking, and I always watch. I always support, as much as I can. And I'm definitely ready for something out here in Arizona to get going. Cause
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a trip out here. I'll just say that.
She says it's a trip. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you.
All right, fam. Talk to you.
It's a trip. I bet it is. Right. Thank you, fam. Going to 310. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What up? This is Tone Talk, Antonio.
What up? This is Tone Talk. What's going on, Tone?
Chime in on this discussion. What's up, man?
Nothing.
I just have a couple points, so I ain't gonna hold you too long. It's weird because I think that I want to dig a little more into the weeds about what we're seeing here and how politically immature this exposes the black political environment of YouTube to be, and Twitter. Mm-hmm. You have to understand what happened. You're in Georgia. John Issac, excuse me if I got his name wrong, resigned because of Parkinson, leaving two years on his, leaving some years on his Senate seat. Kim appoints Laughlin. There's 2 years left. They run when the election comes up. She does, I think, a year, and then they run. And the Democrats pour a large amount of money into Warnock, who is a black pastor, in Georgia that preaches out of Dr. King's church. And with that money and his blackness and her being who she is and Chip being who he is, and let's talk about one more thing. Trump being on the ticket, they sneak in and get him into office.
Yep.
Now you have, that's a different election than 2022, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you not know this? Like, how are you still running in that state like that, like statewide? Because now you have to knock out an incumbent black pastor that preaches out of Dr. King's church with no money. Like, what are we even talking about? Can you pull up that picture I showed you? Because I sent to you, because it really frames it. You know, because I think that one of the things that we have happening right now is black folks, everything looks the same to us. So there's an image I sent to you that on one side is a real Ferrari, and on the other side is a picture of a car. I don't know if that's pulled up to y'all because I'm a little bit behind on my screen. What'd you say, man?
It's up.
Okay. The picture of the car ain't got no wheels. It ain't got no engine. And you can't drive that to no grocery store. The other car is a Ferrari worth $1.4 million. That's a real car. To you guys right now, y'all see that as the same. And you can't see these two things as the same and expect no politics to come out of it. You got to have some basics about you. What I'm telling you is that a lot of these campaigns you talking about is this red car, this drawing. And what Warnock and Clyburn represent is this Ferrari. And I guess the reason why I bring that up is, how do I talk to you if you think these are the same thing? I don't know how to convince you that you can't get in that red car. You should know just because they didn't draw the wheels yet. They got a drawing and they ain't drawn the wheels yet. And people talk about taking a drawing where the person who drawn it drew a car that got a hump in it. So let's get back to Warnock-Walker. Mckesson leaves because of Parkinson. Loeffler takes that seat. Kemper points her. It opens up a Wild West in 2020 for people. So people feel like they have a check. They pour more money into, and I'm going to read this to everybody because I want to make sure that what Yvette said earlier gets some context. It says, record amount spent on Georgia Senate race. The nonprofit Center for Responsive Politics routinely tracks campaign spending and fundraisers for candidates as well as third-party groups. According to the nonprofit, the Purdue off-off race takes the top seat for spending with nearly $470 million spent as of January 4th, while the Loeffler-Warnock race follows with nearly $363 million spent. And what we have here is $10,000 or $2,000, $3,000 being basically thrown into a pit with no kind of understanding about basics of politics in Georgia. This is not the moment that 2019 was. One, because it isn't a Wild Wild West. There's an incumbent black pastor that's in the seat that you think an old black pastor is going to vote for you over Warnock. Number two, we already know that they come up $400 million race. Number three, Trump isn't on the ticket no more. So what you doing? Why are we talking about this? And then number four, let me say this. You talking about being about for reparations in the state. There's a lot of white folks. So you running on reparations. Next, like statewide?
And nothing else. And nothing else. Nothing else.
Let me say the last. They don't even know the basics of who they can take money from. You can't take money from a poisonous fountain and then tweet about it and they think it's going to be okay. They're going to pull the tweet up. Come on, your campaign over. You done took $1,500 and they pull up the tweet of where you got the $1,500 from and they like, this person just said all kinds of good over statements.
Hold on, Antonio. Hold on. Even if you don't get the $1,500, if you tweet out begging for the money, they're going to pull that up. I would. If I was your opponent.
And I come back to it because let's say the last thing. In a race, and I'm going to leave it here. In a race where they are talking about $400 million. And I want to say one more thing before I leave it there, I'm almost finished. I don't want to take the line up. I want to read this to you from an article. Loeffler has promised, this is back in the 2020 election, Loeffler has promised to spend $20 million of her own money to win the last 2 years of the Senate term. So she's going to spend $20 million of her own money, get another $180 million from Republicans to add to that. You're not putting nothing up, and then you want to take $10,000 out of money that can go to foundation grassroots money and give us nothing but just I tried. Again, Yvette, there's two cars here. One ain't got no wheels and it's a drawing. The other one can get you to the grocery store and back. Which car you gonna be in?
And it can do more than that.
And which car don't exist. All right, I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate you, Tom. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, and we just, I don't want to talk about it, but everybody, I see it's all over my timeline, all this stuff about, well, we gonna run and we gonna do all this. Like Antonio said, ain't no wheels. I don't know. I don't know what you do with a car with no wheels. That's supposed to be at the junkyard, don't it? Anyway, 256, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, man, it's Trey Flake. Can you hear me?
What's going on, Trey? I can hear you just fine. What's going on?
Man, I had to call in as somebody who ran for office a couple of years ago because it's just ridiculous seeing these people trying to run for office again. And just seeing Marcel, who has no plan, trying to run for office. Like, you can't run up in people's houses talking about, I'm for reparations, and that's all you have to say, right? Like, these people have basic everyday needs that need to be filled, and you don't even know how to have that conversation with people. So I don't understand why they keep running. As a candidate, even though I'm 10 toes down for AOS, I didn't run in there and say, I'm AOS. What I did was say, hey, you know my grandma, or I see the sign in your yard, you go to such and such church, I know so-and-so. There's a way that you have to do this, and none of them are doing this. And another thing is the name recognition. Like, Warnock-Walker, perfect example. Because I think I said this to you a couple of weeks ago, like, if you're not Mr. or Miss Basketball, and you went back to the city that you're from, and, you know, did all this work with the kids around the town, you're not going to win this race against Raphael Warnock and against Jim Clyburn.
Because first of all, you don't have any idea how much money the Democrats are about to pour into this race. That's the first reason you're not going to win. They are going to pour because they want to keep this seat, and it's going to be hard enough for them to keep this seat. Like Antonio said, Trump ain't there no more, so you don't have. Let's get Trump out of office. You don't have that whole propaganda apparatus that was all about that. So what are you going to do?
You're just going to collect money from people who don't know that much about politics for the next election after election after election after election until you die. I mean, I just don't see them doing anything else but collecting donations.
Well, that's a great life, though, ain't it? To just be able to run around and, like, just say, I'm going to run for office, and that can be, like, your life thing. Like, the funniest thing to me, honestly, is, like, if the ADOS Foundation goes real left, right, people have no problem holding me accountable and saying, Yvette, it was supposed to be one thing and it was another thing. You got to hold other people. It can't just be me in this space that you're going to hold accountable. It cannot just be me. I'm not for that. You got to hold these people accountable, too. If you won your last election and if you lost it, if you won it, that's one thing. Kudos. If you lost it, I got to hold you accountable, too, and say, what happens different than happened last time? Y'all will ask me that. Y'all do ask me that in the comments, in the YouTube comments, in my inbox. You ask me, what we going to do? Y'all have no problem holding me accountable for everything. But you don't want to hold these people accountable. You just want to give money and hope for the best. You don't do that with me. You ask me, well, what's going to this? And I approve of it. I approve of accountability. Like the woman just called, well, what's going, I want to know what happened. I want to be a part of this. People ask, when are we going to roll out this? What's that going to look like? Who's going to, you have no problem having accountability with me. But I've said this to y'all a number of times. I'm not going to be the only person y'all hold accountable. You got to do that stuff across the board. So let me let you finish, Tracy. I'm sorry.
No, it's just ridiculous to see this. That they still doing this, like it's not gonna happen. We all know it's gonna happen. Anybody that any political consultant worth their weight in salt is gonna tell you at the lower level you need at least $2 per vote. You know what I'm saying? So in a race with in my city, my mayoral race, 58,000 people, that raised $50,000. Like each individual candidate raised $50,000, and you got people talking about they're running for Senate and the House of Congress, and they haven't raised but $46,000 between them. I'm going to let you go, Yvette. Thank you for taking my call.
No, appreciate you, fam. Thank you so much for calling in. You can't throw your money away. Money for us is too hard to come by. You can't throw it away. You got to be picky and choosy. You cannot throw it away. If you donate something to a campaign, you know it's not going to go anywhere. I want you to go outside right now. If you donated $100, go outside right now, take 5 20s, and just throw them up in the air and walk off and see how that feels. It's the same thing. Anyway, let me go to 313. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette, Michigan, Sharon.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Long time no hear from you.
I'm okay. I don't want to sound good. There's too much going on in the world to be good, but
I know.
I'm hanging in there.
That's all right.
I got two. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I stick and move. I'm doing very well.
Oh yeah, we got to constantly stick and move, honey. That's the only way we gonna stay up, right?
Absolutely.
Anyway, I got two suggestions. I know we need to put somewhere. We need some age limits because some folks don't need to run for specific positions at a certain age because they walk around here looking a little strange, okay? And they need time limits as well. Nobody should go in Congress or any of these other positions and stay there for a lifetime. They're not supposed to retire from these positions. They need to maybe stay for 2 terms and get the hell out of here and let somebody else come in. Particularly maybe somebody who can relate a little bit better to the average person.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree.
Because when I saw that 16th term for this old crap, what is it, 76?
He 80 something now. He's like 80 now. He's in his 80s.
Something by this time. He needs to find a rocking chair and just chill. He don't need to run anymore. This lifetime thing, I'm really sick of it, okay? I've had enough. You got the same old with the same old, you get the same old. And if people keep voting for the same thing, expecting a different result, we already know what that means. You have a good night, hon. I'm glad you took my call. Have a great day.
You have a good one too, but I appreciate you. I agree with you. Like I remember Robert Byrd, Ku Klux Klanman, who was a Democrat. I remember they had to roll him to vote one time. He was just, child, what we doing? What you still doing that for? Like you should have enough self-respect at a certain point to go and not have nobody rush you to your rocking chair. Just go sit there nicely and kindly and drink sweet tea and hush. You should just do that because that's the age that you at. That's the horizon. You don't even have the vitality to do that kind of stuff no more. What's wrong with you? You don't understand the seasons of life. Life has a season. I understand all the seasons. I'm a middle-aged woman. I'm not young. I'm not 21. This is my season. I'm dead in the middle. That's my season. You an old man. This is your season. This is not the season for work. This is the season for horizon. And people don't understand that. Nobody understands the stages of life no more. It's just all one big grift. And it's not just Clyburn. Let me go to the next call. I am going to 919. 919, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's going on, Yvette?
What's up with you?
This is David. I'm calling from Kingston, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I'm to speak to tonight's topic because, I got some very interesting experiences that hit on exactly what you're talking about, and some of the callers, like the last caller, talking about time limits. I managed a primary campaign for a candidate that was in North Carolina, House District 12. Okay? It had recently been gerrymandered and stolen away from Representative Wainwright once he died.
Okay. So
they gerrymandered it, and Republicans kind of took it back. Then we had maybe 2 election cycles after that. So I got in. I was managing this lady's campaign. She was, just like the lady said, was kind of too old. And I was seeing things. So we won. We actually won the primary due to a lot of the grassroots on the ground, internet, work that I was doing. And the older crowd was kind of like, I don't know if I want to say it was gatekeeping, but they don't understand the dynamics of how political operatives can come in. Because once we won the primary, there came some political operatives claiming they were with the Democratic Party, but they claimed they were a caucus inside of the Democratic Party. Oh. So they brought in these big donors and confused her to the point where she fired me. And went along with them, and guess what they did?
What?
They derailed her campaign. They made everything late. She didn't have any more internet presence. They had no grassroots on the ground team. The two people that were claiming they were working for her were out of state. They weren't even from the same county or city and knew the people around here. So now I'm looking at races from last year, and I'm looking at the Democratic Party organizing now. They have these phone calls in my county, and these same two operatives are on the Zoom calls about to do the same thing. So it's real big over here, and those term limits, that's true. And I agree with you. Like, this big money that's involved in politics without reparations, like, there's really no way that we're gonna ever defeat that. So my question is Clyburn stay there until he dies, or once we do get the reparations, is it going to be a Dave Chappelle situation, like you said, and people squander the money and don't know how to reinvest in the right areas to take over the political situation? So I don't know, where it's going to go. I heard Brother Marcel on that call, that Twitter space. I mean, I thought he did pretty good, but it does fall into some of the things that you're talking about, people not having money. But if we're going to keep talking about that same story, we already know, you and Tone have put out together, we already know that people don't have money to give. And then we got a lot of people that don't understand politics that's in our group.
Well, let me say something.
They don't really understand the dynamics of how politics work and know that you're going to need money, so they're not going to give money. So
well, let me say something, fam. Let me say something. I think one of the things people have to understand is being a good talker doesn't make you a good candidate. Being a good talker.
I understand that.
I'm not just talking to you. I'm not just talking to you. Hold on one second.
All I'm saying is,
hold on one second, fam.
Speaking our general or speaking that game.
Hold on one second, fam. I'm not just talking to you though. When I talk, I'm not just talking to you right now. I'm talking to everybody. One of the things that we tend to do is get very excited, right? When somebody is a good talker, and not understanding that, just like we talked about how the LeVar Ball shoes could not compete with Nike or Adidas, and people didn't understand that because there's a whole distribution and infrastructure, apparel network behind him. You have to understand what's behind the person. Do you have people power? Do you have money? What do you have? Just because you are a good talker doesn't necessarily make you a good candidate. And so I'll go back to you, fam. But I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the people.
Talking did? You want me to tell you what LeVar Ball's good talking did? He got his sons in the NBA. That's what.
No, they were actually players too, though, right? Like, are they decent players? Do they deserve to be there based on their
talent? Yeah, they are. Okay. They are actually.
So it sounds to me like him being a good father.
The dynamics of the people on ESPN not wanting to see a black father.
But it sounds to me like
strong or be an advocate like that. He was.
It sounds to me. Hold on, fam. We gotta talk to each other. We can't talk over each other. It sounds to me that no, him not being a good father, him being a good father is a large reason that they got there. Not necessarily being a good talker. I think that him taking them to trainings, taking them to sports, encouraging them, that's being a good father. That's not being a good talker. So I think once they got there, they were ready to go.
He was being a good advocate. He was being a good advocate and got the job done.
I think he was a good father. I don't think he necessarily could be a good advocate.
We got to put somebody in there that can at least get to the table to bring up the issue, because these people that we keep voting in, they're not bringing up the issue.
How you gonna get them? Wait a second. What does it mean to get them there, though? Get them in Congress?
Anywhere in politics.
No. It can't be anywhere. It can't be anywhere. It can't be anywhere.
Any space.
Okay. Any space meaning like anything you get elected into, like city council, town, dog catcher, whatever. You said anything, right?
Well, I'm just saying elected spaces where having a platform works for the group. Like, you gotta have a platform, you gotta have an agenda, you gotta have these things. That's what I'm saying. Any space that we elect somebody to, I would like for them to have that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just don't see it in a lot of these candidates. And you're right though. The money isn't there. The money, you can't. And like Tone said, you got this car, then you got the Ferrari. Like, I mean, I know that's what we up against, but like where do we start? Where do we hit the button and say, okay, well, what is the solution today? Okay, if the solution is doing the work, creating the movement, getting enough people around you, like, I ain't gonna be a pessimist and say, well, how long does that take before we jump in and try to put somebody in position? But like, eventually, like, what is this gonna lead to? You know, are we gonna wait another 5, 6?
You might.
Years
Hold on. Wait a minute, Carl. You might.
Get reparations.
Hold on. You got. Hold on. Yeah. No, wait a minute. Yeah, you might have to wait. You ain't did the work yet, Carla. You and half these people haven't done it.
I do
You
the
might have.
work.
Hold on.
I do the work.
I let you go for like 2 minutes. Let me go, man. You might have to wait. Who cares? I don't care. Because
yeah, I'm not tripping all that. I was just making I was just saying, what if, like a hypothetical? Do we not disencourage people from running that want to
if they can't win? Yes. If they can't win at the level they're playing at, yes. Do not get your 95, 120-pound son out on the football field with 280-pound players. I wouldn't put him on the football field at all. But if he got to go on the football field, you got to get him ready. And if he ain't ready, you got to tell him you ain't ready. Yes, you're going to have to wait. You can't just run out there because you feel.
Where we going to find the money? Where we going to find the money to match Clyburn? Where we going to find the resources?
You're not. Guess what? You're not.
So you ain't going to never get in there.
You're not. No, you got to do. No, you got to not be lazy.
So
Hold on, Carl. Wait a minute. You got to not be lazy. You sound lazy to me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. Hold on. Wait a minute.
We don't have it, so what? How?
Hold on. I'm going to mute you because you keep talking over me. I talk, you talk. I talk, you talk. We got to give each other turns. Yes, listen, yes, it's going to take a while because we have like 30 years of abdicating responsibility. What are you rushing for? Like some of you all have not done natural processes. I encourage some of you, if you are a guy or whatever, go lift weights. If you are a woman or a man, go run. These things, these kinds of progression take time. You all are too thirsty to get to the finish line. You not, listen, if we ain't got reparation, we ain't got the money. We do have people. You can use people in the same way to apply pressure, but you got to train people and you got to educate them and you got to talk to them. That has to happen. If you don't have money, there is another way until we get reparations, and this is it. But that way is hard and it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. But that's the only route you got to go if you don't have money. It's the hard route, but that's the route you got to go. And you got to be willing to do it. It's just,
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. I just would like to see more of us, you know, on a united front when it comes to certain issues and, you know, developing a plan where we're going to say, okay, we're going to put some money here, we're going to put some money behind this person, put some money behind this person, and give them the agenda. If they don't respond to the agenda well, if they can't pull it off, if they don't even seem like they're close to what we're talking, like we don't put the money behind them, you know, but it's definitely going to take some money to beat somebody like that because a lot of people don't want to volunteer that time.
What are you running for?
Exactly what y'all describe, poor, and we don't have the money. They got to be at work 12, 14 hours a day, because that's our story.
Listen, you might not. Guess what that means? Right now, you might not be able to run against Clyburn because he's the majority whip. He's the highest ranking member in a black member in Congress. That means you might not be able to run against him right now. You know what that means for you? Go sit down. Until you figure out how to do it.
That means he always gonna be that because he's 70-something years old, so he always gonna be that. He gonna die that way.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
So I don't know how much longer God got on his life span, but I think he gonna be there a lifetime till he decides to retire.
Okay.
With the way the dynamics are set up, that's what I believe.
Okay, you might be right. Well, why run against somebody who they gonna be that way. That's gonna be the end. If you don't have the people power and you don't have the money, why do it?
Well, somebody got to try it.
Ain't nobody got to try nothing.
Nobody for not trying.
Listen. No, that's magic.
You had the courage
I don't believe it.
and say, if I lose, I lose. Oh well.
Don't waste my money when you lose, though. Don't waste my money. Like if you enter into a thing knowing you gonna lose, you are a moron. Wait. Let me finish.
They spend money on eyelashes, they spend money on stupid stuff.
Oh my God, you won't let nobody talk. That's why you don't know. You gotta let people talk. Listen, I had did a whole thread about barbershops, and we talked about salons and all that. This is not about that. I don't approve of anybody wasting their money. I don't approve of him wasting his money on whatever he wastes his money on. Oreo cookies or what, I don't care. Whatever don't waste your money, right? This is a political campaign, though. Like, you can't, like, what you are encouraging is people waste their money on eyelashes. I can waste my money on the campaign. I don't even know, like, this is not a serious conversation anymore when you say that. Because what you're saying is that somebody got to try. No, they don't. Like, you don't have to try in the wrong way. There are ways to do this, but it's the hard way. There are ways to challenge people. There is a way to do a David and Goliath story, but man, it's hard. And some of y'all just don't want to admit that you don't want to do the hard work. Some of y'all just want to jump out and say, at least I tried. Child, if you want to try to climb the side of that mountain, what was the name of that movie? It's on Netflix. But if you want to try to climb the side of that mountain, go do it. But if you try to do it and you just trying something, you're going to fall off the side of it. You got to know what you're doing, and you got to be willing to stay in this thing for years. Now, Clyburn might be dead by the time you come out of it. So what? Now you know what you're doing, and you can challenge. Now you know what you're doing, and you can still have the seat by. You can challenge whoever is coming against him. Like, it's not about.
Reach out to somebody. Like, did you reach out to Marcel and get
I'm not reaching out to nobody. Listen. I was here. Listen, let me tell you something, Playboy. I was here long before all these people got here. I don't owe him nothing. I don't owe him nothing to reach out to him. He reached out to me. Did he reach out to me?
But are we gonna help him?
Help him for what? I know he gonna lose already. Help him for what? I know how this book ends. Did Marcel ever help me?
At least to get him on the debate stage.
I'm not getting him nowhere. Shut up. I'm not getting him nowhere. I don't owe him nothing. Did he ever ask to help me? The people who took all of my talking points, they ever asked to help me? Y'all are, listen, get off my line, Negro. Don't call here no more. Because these people here, they never asked to help me do nothing. These people here came and took talking points and ran off. And you're going to ask if I tried to help them. They never tried to help me, and I don't care. I don't need the help of people who just want to run for office for the sake of running. I don't need that kind of help. I need workers. I need people who are going to put some energy and effort into this thing and get something out of it. That's what I need. I need people who are in here for the long haul, not in here for their ego or for reflection. I am not here for anybody but the collective. I am not here for a candidate that you think I could be here for. I don't work for you as an individual. I work for the group. So, sir, there is nothing you can say to me to intimidate me or make me feel no kind of way. I don't give no damn, child. None. So let me go to the next caller. 202, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? No damn. What's up, Alex? How you been doing?
Oh my God.
You know I still up here acting up.
Miss Cotton, how you doing? You know what?
Child, you know I'm healthy. That's all I can say. I'm healthy and happy.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Oh my God! See, that's why you where you at, not where I'm at, because I do not have the patience.
Woo.
I do not have the patience. The Lord knows what's my gifts and what's not my gifts, and as you told me a long time ago, I don't suffer fools easily.
You don't.
But listen, I don't want to keep y'all too long, but let me just a quick little rundown. So this is a very difficult conversation, man, because I, for one, believe that people like, I call him the Oracle
Clyburn. These people, the respectability politics Negroes, they are holding black people hostage, and they are holding us back. And I'm not sure how you get around them.
Mm-hmm.
I think about when Obama was running against Bobby Rush, and I don't know if you know what's going on with Bobby Rush right now. Bobby is trying to, he say Bobby want to pick his successor, Yvette. A lot of y'all been talking about. He say he want to pick his successor, and people are rising up against him over that. And if you go back and look at the Obama, the first State of the Union address, you'll see Bobby Rush reach his hand out to shake Barack Obama's hand, and Barack Obama just kind of waves him off and going about his business. Mm. Well, those of us who knew something about their history understands a lot of what you're talking about now was going on between Barack Obama and the race he had against Bobby Rush back, I believe that was 99, and that whole race was about, are you black enough? And the same respectability politics that Clyburn plays today, they were playing back then. Or what we just seen with Nina Turner and what's her name, Yvette?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember her name. She was an establishment candidate.
Chantel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the establishment. You had all the black respectability Negroes. They came there to campaign for her. But I want to give just a quick bit of history on this. When you go back to John Lewis, I believe that was the 81 or 82 election between him and Julian Bond. A lot of what you guys are talking about tonight, the lessons around this came out in that race. A lot of people think that John Lewis was the choice of black people. He was not. He was not. I want to be very clear on this. But Julian Bond was the choice of black people. He had been in the state legislature for almost 20 years, just as Adam Clayton Powell is considered one of the greatest black congressmen with 49 pieces of bedrock legislation that he authored. Julian Bond might be considered one of the greatest black state legislators in the history of America. I think he authored over 70-something bills, if I remember correctly, including the bill that created the actual district that he will run for against John Lewis. Now, in that race, it was predicted that Julian Bond was going to win. And if anybody listened to Julian Bond talk and listened to John Lewis talk, you know automatically who's more competent. And at that point in time, John Lewis had served on Atlanta City Council, and it was an absolute disaster. So all the black people lined up behind Julian Bond in that race. Unfortunately, Julian Bond was not able to get 50% of the vote, and as a result, he forced John Lewis forced him into a runoff. Now watch this, Yvette. It was in that runoff that the people in Buckhead got behind John Lewis, and they put him over the top. John Lewis was the choice of white people, not black people. That is very important to note. Fast forward all the way to when John Lewis retires. John Lewis, and this is the irony of it, John Lewis knew he was going to die long before that next election. But, they said his doctors told him that he was not going to be alive probably in the next election. But he didn't die out. He stayed in. Why? Because he knew that state Democratic Party rules would allow the party to choose his successor. So the man who claimed to spend his whole life crossing a bridge that only takes 2 minutes to cross, fighting for people to have the right to vote, in his death, he denied black people the right to vote. I need you guys to get that, because the political education behind that is what the political education we need to understand in how to choose candidates today. John Lewis is one of the most horrible candidates that black people have ever had, and I'll stand on that. I have a friend who actually served in his office, and I said, why did you resign for John Lewis' office? He said, because every time he got on the congressional floor, no matter if it was domestic policy, foreign policy, climate change, wars, whatever, whatever. It all came down, Yvette, to when he marched from Selma to Montgomery. And so black people, only thing they got with John Lewis in office was a symbol. That's all they got. I tell people all the time, I love John Lewis, but in a civil rights museum, not in Congress. He does not belong in Congress. So what we wind up doing, we wind up following that same blueprint for symbolism all the way to the White House with Obama. All the way, that same type of voting infancy. We followed it all the way to the White House with Obama, and we elected a symbol, a man who did nothing for black people. But we were happy to have a black man in the White House. We were happy to see a black family stepping off Air Force One and living in the White House, and it was a beautiful picture. But that's all it was. It was a picture. The Obama presidency was as pretty as a picture and as empty as a frame. All style and no substance. And we didn't learn the lessons in 81, 82 with John Lewis, and we didn't learn the lessons with Obama. And I'm not sure even if we've learned the lesson today. So I fully expect for black people to continue sending symbolism to office. I ain't going to even get on Kentucky Jackson.
Kamala Harris,
that, but I just want to leave it at that.
Kamala Harris, Alexander. I think we're still in that phase.
Oh, yeah. And all the black women who looking at Black Girl Magic with the recent Supreme Court, no, I ain't going to even touch that. I just say, y'all need to research her history. If you're thinking that Ketanji Brown Jackson don't do anything for black people, you are sadly mistaken. And we got to get out of this space of being in love with black symbolism instead of black symbolism. I'd rather have a well-meaning white person in a position than a Negro who just trying to get elected so he can get paid, so he can get a position or anything. And so until we get away from this political immaturity, we're going to continue to get the devils we deserve. And I'll leave it on that, Yvette.
Thank you, fam. As always, Alexander, it's wonderful to hear from you. Woo! Woo! The devils we deserve. Lord have mercy. I say we get the politics we deserve. Alexander said the devils we deserve. Woo! Hey, guess what? I'm not going to vote for one devil over the other. I know a devil when I see a devil. Little devil, big devil. Devil is a devil. I'm not going to vote for one who's just going to be a replacement for the devil. He's just a new devil, not the old devil. We need somebody who's going to work for the people. I'm not playing all them kind of games. Anyway, 205, I'm coming to you. 205, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? Woo!
Hey, what's up, Yvette?
Hey!
This is East Texas.
What's going on, East Texas? How you doing?
Man, Yvette, listen, Lord, I damn near dropped my phone trying to call in after that brother was talking about we just gotta try. I'm dialing your number so fast, I damn near dropped my phone on the floor. Listen, I can't do it. Like I don't even know what to call it. I hate to call people names, so I don't just want to call it idiocy. But this mental block where it just won't connect. Things just are not connecting with people. Like I'm watching people do the same thing in repetitive motion that we did in 2008. And it gets so frustrating because you're sitting here trying to convince me that what you're doing is something new, and I'm like, I've seen this before. What you're doing, I've seen already. I've seen this movie. I got the subscription on Netflix. I don't want to see it again, and it kills me because I have to thank Alexander, and I got to thank Antonio Moore because and Antonio Moore particularly because Antonio Moore in a very real way kind of sparked my political imagination. Like it was Antonio Moore in 2015 that actually got me reading in things that I never read before. And I just read a book he recommended, and now I'm reading another book about billionaires and oligarchs. A book called maybe you read it. It's called Dark Money. You ever read that book?
That's Jane Mayer, I think. Is that her?
Yeah, Jane Mayer. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I read it.
Yeah, right. So I'm after I just read this book about the radical right, the book called Democracy in Chains that Antonio Moore recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing is, I'm 37 years old. I've spent the past 20 years of my life working for the federal government. And particularly 8 years of that was in the military. And when you say stuff like you don't get in a game that you can't win, it's just so true. Like I hear a lot of this talk on the internet about well we just gotta take it to the street. Y'all don't you said it I think on Patreon and I was listening. Y'all don't understand the gravity of what you're up against. You don't understand the magnitude of it. Like Antonio Moore said, y'all think it's a red card on a sheet of paper. You don't understand what it means.
Well, you don't understand what a car is. You don't understand what a car is.
Read Jane Mayer.
Yep.
What'd you say?
I said they don't understand what a car is. Like you don't understand. That's what Antonio was basically saying.
Right. It's the wildest thing to me. I mean, I've spoken to grown men over 30 with 3-4 children and a wife who will not even agree with me on simple terms. Like there are men out here who won't agree with me on just the base facts. I'll say something simple like, what has Joe Biden ever done for the community? And we can't agree on that. Like the base facts of things, people will just not agree on. And when you can't even agree with people on the base facts of life, people are still out here in my city, still running around talking about, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to do crypto. I'm like, y'all, I don't know what to call it if it's not insanity. And that was why I had to call in, because that brother's talking about somebody got to try. Brother, when you do the reading, read Democracy in Chains. Read Jane Mayer, Dark Money. Look at the gravity of the wealth. You do not understand what you're up against. And your vet is absolutely right. We don't have the money, and like the brother said, we just ain't gonna never run against them. We may not. We may never have that level of money. The money that is outlined in Democracy in Chains, the hundreds of billions of dollars that individuals hold in their bank accounts privately, you may never see that. You'll never match that. Let me just say something.
Let me just say something, fam. And so what happens if you don't see that? Your only thing to do is to kind of be David, in terms of David and Goliath. But guess what? He was outside hitting animals with that little slingshot for years before he got the chance to fight the giant, right? You might be the same way.
Right.
But so that's what you have to do. It has to be a certain way because you don't have the money. But another thing I'll say, and I'll let you finish, is that one of the problems that I said, the thing that I said to avoid is what that brother did. I said, don't get emotional. And the reason I kept having to mute him is because he kept getting emotional. And so he wouldn't let me finish because he's emotionally invested in a particular campaign. Like, if you want to be in a space where somebody can take advantage of you, get emotional. People get emotional, they end up in jail because they hurt somebody. They end up all kinds of places. When you get emotional, bad things can happen and you can be manipulated. And I said don't get emotional. And he called here and started out okay, but became very emotional. I'll let you finish, fam. I'm sorry.
And they're all emotional. I'm looking at all the grifter groups. I'm watching all of y'all. I'm watching everybody. I'm doing the reading quietly to myself. I am down a rabbit hole on right-wing history and money. I am down a full-blown rabbit hole reading about the money these people have. And it is so disheartening because I know people personally who they just fundamentally refuse to acknowledge opposition in life. They 40, 50 years old and refuse to acknowledge they're poor, but then want to ask me to borrow $50. It's insanity. And I love them dearly. I do. I feel like Alexander. Look, I'm never here to bash on anybody.
Oh.
I really would prefer not to be so adversarial towards all
Me
the
too.
grifters that have came about. But I have to, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna leave you with this, Madam President, because I don't know if you've addressed it, but I really hope you would soon. I'm sorry. There has to be some form of screening mechanism. I need you to screen people's social media. I want checks because I do not want them when all of these grifter groups collapse, they are all going to try to funnel themselves back into the org.
Fam, hey,
outside noise falls.
We got that covered. They ain't coming back. Ain't nobody coming back. Don't worry about it. We got that covered. Ain't nobody coming back. Ain't nobody coming back. Everybody got to stay gone.
I cannot have it.
They got to stay gone, fam. It's all right. We got that covered. We taking all that in right now.
Okay, that's all I needed. I've been on Twitter saying it. I'm like, look, when all of these little outside agitators, when they all go kaput, they're gonna try to run back and say, oh, ADOS, AF, no. Get this person away from me.
Yeah, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna run off and
Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah, thank you, fam. I appreciate you, but no, we that's been something that's been up for discussion for a long time within the org, and there is no coming back. So thank you, fam. I appreciate you as always. I'm going to my last call. I'm going to 404. 404 is my last call. I'm 404. What's your name? Where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette? This is Simeon. How you doing this evening?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I was sitting here listening, and I had to brace myself because it was so rough to hear someone who didn't understand that our entire job is to transform the black electorate, not to aspire to be the next politician. And it was just kind of wild to me because it's really so aspirational. It's no different than vote blue no matter who. It's no different than clapping for Ketanji Brown. It's no different than any of those things if all we want to do is just try to make it while we know that there is no path ahead. And it's just so obvious that there's a level of unseriousness and we want to aspire to be something, but without a movement behind it, how are you going to hold these people accountable? The same folks that you want to vote for you can't figure out why they shouldn't vote for Clyburn yet. Because that political education isn't there. And it's just so scary that so many folks or it's sad, really, that so many folks aren't focused on the real task at hand. And that's not getting elected. That's getting around that dinner table with your family and getting them involved. That's getting your neighbors involved. That's talking at your church and pushing this political education. But instead, they want to nickel and dime the poor folks to give them money in the names of hope that one person can go up there and change it. It ain't going to be one person that's going to change it. It's going to be an apparatus that brings all of us along to move us forward in the space that we need to be, which is true liberation and true redress. And I also just want to point out that we got a whole congressional black caucus that the majority of black folks hasn't even felt like we needed to hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. What the hell is one other person going to do?
Which means
not going to be able to do nothing.
Which means, fam, you got to educate people and influence them before you do this. You know what it kind of makes me feel like, and I'm gonna let you finish, fam. It makes me feel like somebody coming to me and say, I want to cook a cake. And the person says, I ain't got no flour, I ain't got no sugar, I ain't got no butter, I ain't got no icing, but I got some eggs. Well, that means you got breakfast. You don't have a cake. Well, at least I got to try. No, you don't. You have eggs for breakfast. You don't have a cake. You have one ingredient. That's not enough. And it's almost like people don't understand the ingredients that go into a thing. If you have not convinced, as you just said, fam, if you have not convinced the people who support Clyburn that Clyburn ain't supposed to be there, you certainly cannot replace Clyburn. And even if you did, you would just become a cog in a wheel as opposed to a transformative candidate for anything. And I'll let you finish, fam. I'm sorry.
No, you're exactly right. And I also want to point out, you said multiple times the people power, the people power, recognizing what needs to happen. And I'm so grateful for the foundation, because the foundation is building the apparatus that we need to make this change on a large scale. And I don't think people understand that. You still got black folks running around saying that we don't need reparations. Mm-hmm. You got black folks who are happy just because someone looks like them is in office, even though all of those policies are against us. They're against our families. They're against our children. They're against our schools. They're against our colleges. They're against all of those things. And I know that an apparatus is needed to move those roadblocks out. And we also need everybody to talk into the people close to them. And instead of convincing them to donate to a candidate that hasn't been able to even convey their message in a broad enough manner to get people on board, instead they got to do some studying. They need to put in some work. They need to join us in this fight to bring America along to the justice that our ancestors should have gotten. And since they didn't get it, it's our job to get it. And that's not about one person. That's about one nation. I appreciate you, Yvette.
Appreciate you, fam.
And I appreciate this call today, in this show today, and I hope you have a good night.
No, you do the same, fam. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all the people who are doing the work inside the org as opposed to just talking. Listen, I don't want everybody to think, I'm not opposed to donations. The foundation takes donations. I do too. But, like, in order to do this, as an organization, you need more than donations. Donations fund the work. And the reason not talking about y'all, and y'all are the diehards. I'm talking about ADOS in general. The reason so many of them prefer just to give a donation and not get involved, or just give a donation to a candidate as opposed to a foundation, is because that's easy. Right? Giving $5 and $10 and saying, I supported the reparation candidate. That's an easier thing than saying, okay, how do I get out here and influence people? How do I influence my family? Okay, now let me take notes on what worked with my family in terms of influence, and what worked with my grandmama as opposed to what worked with my niece, what worked with my uncle as opposed to what worked to my sister. Let me write that down and figure out a process for how I got to influence people and how the reparations conversation. And okay, maybe I got to influence white people too, right? White people are 77% of Congress. If you don't think we need no allies, you are stupid. So I got to figure out, okay, can we talk about something like what Citibank says in terms of reparations being good for everything? Okay, what other positions can I take to get them on board as well? Okay, I gotta do that. Let me write that down. It's a whole lot of work. If you're trying to be a candidate and you're trying to influence people and use people power, you got to figure out what their internal drivers are. And that's a whole lot of work of figuring out what motivates people and what gets people. Okay, what are your needs? What are your needs? Okay, let me figure that out. I got to do this too. I got to do this. Let me figure that out. Let me tell you, that's what you got to do. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. And if you want, we might not never have reparations. We might not never have a lot of things. But we can get these things if we push. If you don't want to push and you want to just, well, can't you get him on the stage? What I look like? I'm about collective power, not individual power. If that person, you get somebody on the stage of a whatever, and they win, they don't owe you nothing. You know what they're going to say? I've already seen half of people say it. What? I didn't get nothing from you. What I owe you? I don't owe your people nothing. I just owe the people of South Carolina or Georgia. I don't owe you nothing. I didn't do. And then they get there and can't do nothing for you because they're one of many. And they're low on the totem pole. But if you have a whole group of people, and all these people is knocking at the door, and they all understand the same thing because you have educated all of them, it's a different ball game, but it's harder. And what I find is that too many people don't want to do the hard work. They just want me to help get one Negro on the debate stage. That's not politics. Politics in terms of transformational stuff, when you don't have money, comes from movements and not individuals. If you don't understand anything else, please understand that. So that's the end of our show today, fam. a great, what is this? A great time with all of you wonderful callers. Great to hear from some people. Tone, Alexander, Sim, all of y'all. All the calls were great. East Texas, all of y'all were great. I loved every one of them. First caller, she was throwing it out there. What you got? I love it. So we had a great time, fam. And just, I said, I've said it so many times, but it hasn't changed. It's collective uplift. It's not one candidate here or one candidate there with no path to victory. It's collective uplift. And me helping to get you on some kind of stage wouldn't help you anyway, child, because of who that man is and what he represents and what his constituents believe. You got to start understanding some of this stuff, or we're just going to stay stuck. How long you want to stay stuck? I don't want to be stuck here. I want to do some real stuff. I don't want to be stuck here. But if you stay stuck on what you believe versus what is true, then we're going to have a problem. Anyway, fam, keep it easy breezy. Finish your libation. Go to bed. And we will talk next time. All right, fam?